like Amsterdam at 3 a.m. I like Spanish wine, burgundy red. Call me a connoisseur, a carnivore, sophisticated. Curated palate, gotta have it when it's on my plate. Getting impatient, I'm fixated, don't you keep me waiting. Come on, feed my craving. I got taste, oh, you're just my type. Feel my appetite. Can't stay away, tonight I'm in the mood for a little something new. Give me a taste of you.
You're listening to Opinions and Beer.
And opinions and beer. Two guys and another guy. Will never happen again.
Hello and welcome to Opinions and Beer. We're your hosts. I'm Adam.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Keenan. Today we've got Casey McQuillen on the podcast.
Woo!
We're so excited to have her on. How are you doing today?
I'm fabulous. I love drinking. I love drinking beer. And I was actually nominated for Most Opinionated in high school, my high school superlative. I did not win, so I could be more opinionated, I guess, but I feel rather prepared for today's interview.
That's great. That's great. Like, before we get, I like your song "Bourbon," by the way.
Thank you.
That before we got into any of like the topics or anything, I just wanted to let you know I like that song.
Thank you. And my alcohol-themed song, I think it's very appropriate that we took a listen to that.
Now, Miss Casey, this is Opinions and Beer. For those that don't know, this is a very weird podcast. We we review craft beer in a storyline-like manner. Basically, we're on a quest to find the best craft beer for Michael Jai White's brewery that he doesn't really own, Ferrante Jones Brewery. You can see back here we have beers that we've made based off previous guests of the podcast. We've got Michael Gross beer right there. We have John Heder beer. We have Kung Lao beer from Mortal Kombat and all kinds of stuff. So we it's just interesting things that we do. So one day you will be a beer too.
I love that. First time for everything.
And speaking of beer, I guess we're gonna move on to.
Oh yeah. Do you have a? They said that you would be having some craft beer with us today.
So I'm drinking this beer because it's the first beer I found in the bucket of beers I have downstairs that said sour on it. Because I hear you guys are big sour fans.
And today we're actually reviewing a sour.
Yeah,
Perfect.
we review sours a lot, actually.
I really like sours.
A lot.
Well, very recently, it's been a very recent trend of the sours.
So I guess I'll pass that one to you.
So we do the beer of the day, and then we get into the chat and whatnot. We review the beers that we're drinking. I guess we would like for you to as well review and talk maybe about the beer that you just had before we get into everything.
I know I said I'm opinionated, but I think other than good or bad, I would not be able to analyze my beer at all. I was raised in a Bud Light household, so my standards are on the floor. Couldn't be lower. My parents actually wrapped a big bottle of Bud Light in aluminum foil for their limousine on their wedding day because they didn't want to drink champagne. So that's a country girl right here.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like one of your songs was about that. Like forgive me, I'm forgetting the lyrics, but it's like I'm sure you know the song better than I do. What song was it? Where you're like, I'd rather be in a pickup truck, driving down 65.
That's an old song of mine. Wow, you guys did your homework. It's a song of mine called "Come Back to Me."
Yeah, what was that? The music video.
Yeah.
Oh my God, thank you guys so much. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Like that really hit home because we're here in the South, and it's like, oh man, like that hit home so much. I was like, I know 65.
It goes to Nashville, doesn't it?
Different 65, but still, we have a 65
over here down here in Texas. So today we are reviewing
the beer of the day. And today's beer of the day is by Drekker Brewing Company. It is Black Forest Cake Slang du Jour. It's a sour. It's a chocolate
sour a la mode.
It's a chocolate cake sour, coming in at 8%. Something.
8%? Where? Where's it say that?
I don't know. I thought that's what it said.
You jumping the gun on the percentage, bro.
It's whatever. No, 7.3. 7.3.
Damn, it has like
Close.
stats on the side and everything.
But
We know this thing's backstory and its stats.
well, that's the thing with Drekker. They like to post like exactly what's in it. The if you want to make it yourself.
It's got its constitution rating and its intelligence score. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
Roll for
It's
initiative.
open.
Roll for initiative. Rocks fall. The party
It's very.
dies.
Is it purple?
It is purple. It's very purple. That is not the color of chocolate.
No, I mean, but I don't like. I've never minded one of our beers that we review. What beer are you drinking, by the way?
So I'm from Black Hog Brewing Company,
Oh yeah.
You heard
and
of
it's
them,
a
Adam?
strawberry kiwi guava sour.
That's
Oh, wow.
That
Her
sounds
It's
good.
actually pretty good.
I said it sounds better than ours with chocolate and stuff.
And it says it's independent craft certified.
Oh heck yeah.
So look,
So,
there we go, supporting small breweries.
Hell yeah.
So you ready to try this beer?
Well, I've smelled it.
You smelled it?
You smelled it? Yeah.
Ready's a strong
It smells
word.
chocolatey.
It does smell chocolatey, but it also
why
there's
is it
like
purple?
Because it's
What's in Black Forest cake? Raspberries. Okay.
Black
Black
Forest
Forest
cake.
berries. I
Black
guess. It's
Forest
like,
cake.
Oh, so it's probably not.
I can tell you exactly what's in Black Forest cake.
probably-
Very dangerous aliens that are trying to keep quiet so that people don't get in contact with them.
Oh my goodness.
Independent military. No.
Let's go for it. That's good. I don't taste any chocolate. Well, barely chocolate.
Yeah, it's.
Give it a bigger gulp, and then, like I always say, on the after breath. Yeah, you can taste the chocolate in that.
I'm so happy it's just a chocolate aftertaste.
It's like chocolate milk with some like fruity stuff in it. I don't know how to describe that. It'd be like blackberry chocolate milk.
Oh yeah.
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 Which I didn't. What's the cake is supposed to be?
Black Forest cake. That's what I said earlier.
So it's probably supposed to be like Black Forest berry cake with chocolate.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad. I mean,
But,
once again, though, how much did this cost for this 4-pack?
It was like $25.
I ain't ever doing this one again. You know what I mean? This was a one-time jam, dog.
Oh, it tastes like $25. Yeah.
Let's see, 25 divided by, 20. That's like $5 a can, or a little bit more.
5 Bush Lights. No.
Yeah, it gets you like 1 million Keith Stones.
Oh my goodness. You gotta pay extra for the craftness.
All right, what do we give it? What do we give it?
We'll sip on it through the episode. We'll do the official review at the.
I've already got mine.
What?
I've already got mine.
Go
What
for
you
it.
got to do is you've got to keep that number in your head and see if it's different by the end of the episode.
Yeah,
Do a test with yourself.
I like that.
So I'm gonna go ahead and give mine right now. I think this, ladies and gentlemen, this is a 6.
A 6.
I think this is a 6. This is a semi-cute 6.
We said you wouldn't buy it again.
I wouldn't buy it again.
Yeah, that's more generous. I was gonna give it a 5.
No. This is a 6.
I'm gonna sip on it because I don't know yet.
Give it a solid 6. If it goes up by a point, I will be surprised.
Anyways, Miss Casey, thank you for sticking around while we just sat there and chatted about beer.
Of course.
But it's, like I said, it was great to have you on the podcast. I guess let's jump right into this stuff. You were on season 13 of American Idol. Is that correct?
I was. Yes, back in the day.
What were some of the things you took away from being on that show?
I think reality TV can be a great opportunity if you're well positioned to, use it as like the marketing branch of the business you already have created. But I think we pitch these reality TV shows as the job within itself. That like if you go on this show, you get the exposure, you're going to be successful. And I think the market is very saturated. And so I think while it is great to get that many eyeballs on you, you do trade a lot away in the contracts that you sign. And I think you got to know, am I well positioned in my business model for an influx of viewership to be at its max impact at this point in my career? And I think The downside of these shows is they do market heavily to and appeal to people who don't have a lot of access to knowledge about the music industry and don't have a lot of access and knowledge about their legal rights and what they're giving up and these kinds of things. And so it is a balance between the opportunity that comes with the exposure and kind of the position it puts people in who are not familiar with the music industry and who are being put in a position where they're signing a very serious contract. So I definitely am really happy I did it. You know, I learned a lot, but I also at the time was at Berklee College of Music in Boston. I was getting a dual degree in songwriting and music business. And even then it was a really overwhelming process. My dad's a lawyer. Like I had about as much of a leg up going into the process as I could have, but I was 21 and it was, you know, it's very overwhelming. So I always say to people, you know, if you wouldn't be willing to drive around and play in 100 coffee shops, you're not yet ready to go on one of these shows, because that's if you do manage to hit, that's what you're going to need to do after this. You're going to need to hit the ground running. You're going to need to have your socials, everything absolutely up and running. It's not something they do for you. And so if, you know, I have like a few books, people reach out to me all the time, and I have like these books I recommend to people, like read this book, like everything you need to know about the music industry. Read it before you go on. And if you're not willing to read a 200-page book, you're probably not ready to commit yourself to a life in the music career.
But oh, bro, I just wanted to play guitar and party, man. Calm down, you know.
And that's fair. Like if you want to go and, you know, you genuinely have no aims at a career and you just want to go on one of these shows for fun, of course, you know, but I don't think that's most people. I think most people get on these shows and they feel like, oh my God, this is my break. I'm gonna do this. And I don't really believe in breaks after this long in the industry. I think I've learned the experience. Like I was on American Idol. Actually went on twice. I went on 2 seasons in a row. Before that, I'd been invited to audition for The Voice. I've been invited to audition for The Voice multiple times. America's Got Talent. Because here's the thing, I'm good enough to be on one of those shows. So therefore, the American Idol was not my only opportunity at this. Yeah. And that's what I always tell people. Like I was on the road and I met this young girl who just signed a modeling contract in LA and didn't shock me one bit. You know what I mean? 17 years old, 6'2", gorgeous. And her mom was all concerned. And what I said to her was, girl, they have eyeballs. Other agencies have eyeballs. If you get a bad feeling, walk away. If anyone ever says to you, I'm your one shot, leave. Because you're really so shitty that they don't think anybody else would want you, why are they working with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, the energy that these reality shows can have sometimes, like, this is your one shot. That's not a healthy mentality to go into anything with.
Though?
It's not. Yeah, it's a great, and not to say you shouldn't take the opportunity super seriously and like give them your all, but if you're starting to compromise your values, there should,
like in every industry and every single workforce, like I will like, if I hear that from any employer, you know, just like regular jobs, like that'll make me want to leave a job quick. Like, I'm your one shot. I'm the only reason why you get you to pay your bills. But like, I was looking for a job and I found you. You know?
Correct, 100%. So I think that's an important thing in the music industry in general. Any of the entertainment industry, which can be a pretty brutal, cutthroat industry, especially for young women. I'm very protective of the young girls that come to me asking for advice, because it is a more dangerous industry for women. And the thing I just say to them is, if anyone ever implies to you that they're your only hope, they are gaslighting you because they don't want you to know how great you are, because they're afraid you'll leave.
Yeah.
So anyway. Absolutely. American Idol didn't gaslight me. They were lovely too.
Okay. just to point that out. Yeah.
Just a message to American Idol if they're listening.
Yeah, don't
save Simon.
Save Simon.
Oh my goodness. What was the backstage process like to that? Do you have to like put a pause on life, or is it like weeks in advance, like one day out of the month you go and do something, or?
So it kind of happens in segments. I actually, for my first time on Idol, I flew out to Omaha, Nebraska, of all things. Kind of heard through the grapevine a little bit, ended up at the audition out there. And that was like an experience. I went out, had a kind of unique experience where I basically went right in front of the judges, which is not how it normally is. People normally wait in line for a long time. But went right in front of the judges and had like one of the craziest days of my life. I mean, I was only 21, I'd never done anything like this. And so, they take B-roll of you, which is like the stuff they put over behind a voiceover, for like hours. And it was an incredibly exciting day. It was a very exhausting day. And then when you go to Hollywood, you fly out, Idol flies you to Los Angeles. And that's like a 2-week, like a long week process, where it's kind of every day and it's really hardcore. But yeah, no, I mean, it's just a really interesting, like, social experiment in a way. Like, it's a very interesting environment. Like, something I would say is I think they purposely, I don't know. I have a sneaky suspicion that they're not upset if you don't have the opportunity to sleep very much, because people who don't sleep a lot are very emotional. And so you really don't sleep very much at all. It seemingly unnecessarily. And yeah, even I, at one point I was like, it's called like the group, there's like a group thing where you do like by yourself and then you get with a group. And I was kind of like the de facto captain of my group. And so, social experiment, it's interesting. You pair off, and I'm the kind of person that, like, I just went up to all the people that looked like they were gonna like pee themselves. They were so scared. I was like, "Do you want to be in my group?" Because people, it was a lot of like alphas trying to come together, kind of thing, and that's just not my energy. I just don't want to be around people like that. And so, I had these like 3 sweet kids that were in my group, and we were very strategic, tried really hard, and it ended up being that I was the only one who made it through the round. And the camera's in your face right after this like emotional cut, where I made it through, but the rest of my group didn't. And like the cameras caught me crying. And like I, again, was coming in with like a pretty reasonable concept of like the importance that this had in my life. And even I, running on 2 hours of sleep, emotions that high, energy that high, like was caught by the camera, like crying. And so I think that's something that can happen is, there's 15-year-olds on this show who are bawling hysterically and there's a camera in their face. And they're either being emotionally manipulated or they're experiencing an extreme situation that's causing their emotions to run high. And 4 months later, it's on national TV. A snippet of them having that emotional response.
They just have you doing so much stuff that you're not able to sleep, is what you're saying?
It would be like you need to get a sign off on your song for tomorrow, and the hours you can do it are between 10 p.m. and midnight, and then call, which is like the time you have to be camera ready, which of course for a woman takes like an hour to get camera ready. Call would be at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're required to be up from 10 to 12. And then you'd be required to be somewhere at 4 a.m.
Dang.
And then the judges wouldn't show up till like 3 p.m. So I'm like, why have we been here for 12 hours?
So you think they just do that to amp up the drama, you're saying?
Like, because like you said, the less you sleep, the more emotional you are. The more emotional you are, the better you are on camera.
Definitely. They always, of course, production always has like ample time built in on the edges, because it takes a lot to get 500 people from one place to another. You're 100 people or however. Like, it's a lot. There's a lot going on. I started to feel that I would say that at the very least, our ability to sleep and emotionally regulate was at the absolute bottom of their list of priorities. And a more cynical view would be that they actually viewed it as a plus, that wasn't built into the schedule. But I just came out, and this is like, the people who worked on it were the nicest people ever. I just felt that the system that they were working in definitely wasn't designed to like maintain people's emotional health. That was not a priority in my experience.
Of course not. It was made by a producer.
Well, it's not it's a talent show, but it's not really. Would you think? Do you guys think that the goal of American Idol is to have the best singer in the country, or is the goal of American Idol to make a good TV show?
Make a good TV show.
Let's make a good TV show.
Like, man, she just blew my mind. I forgot. Like I was, I was gonna say, like, of course it's way.
Well, is the goal of The Bachelor to find a great couple, or is it to make drama?
They care about love.
Like The Bachelor.
I always go for the more cynical point of view around here.
Yeah, and like, listen, people have fallen in love on The Bachelor, and Kelly Clarkson came out of the American Idol, so like. It can work, you know what I mean? Like it does work in American Idol's favor to find talent, but it especially works to find talent that's gonna cry.
My wife always likes to make the comment. Adam Lambert came in second place on a season of American Idol next to what was his name? John Mayer. See how long it took me to remember his name?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Adam Lambert has, he took that, like you were saying, he hit the ground running. He took that platform that they set him up with. He came in second place. He didn't win, even though they were saying, oh, look at John Mayer. He's the big winner. He's the big winner. He's the big winner. Adam Lambert's career kind of outshines John Mayer's.
Almost everyone who's made a career after American Idol, like, they weren't even the winners.
Did Daughtry win?
No, he came in 8th.
Did Kelly Clarkson win?
Kelly Clarkson and Carrie Underwood both won.
All right, that ruins my point.
No, but there's been like 20 seasons of American Idol. Yeah. So anyway, that all being said, I'm glad I went on. However, I think that a lot of the young kids that come to me asking for advice about these shows, they think that they can just go on these shows and then they don't have to work for their career. I don't think that that's true.
Or they don't think that, like, doing that is the equivalent of work. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it. They think, like, oh, you just show up, you sing a song, and then you're famous.
Well, my comparison is, you guys big hockey fans or basketball fans?
Hockey.
I like hockey. Yeah,
hockey fans. Okay, me too. My family's got season tickets to the Bruins. Pretty hardcore.
Oh, hell yeah.
So American Idol is to music as a shootout is to hockey. To someone who doesn't know what hockey is, a shootout and hockey look very similar. But as we know, there are great hockey players who suck in a shootout. And there are people currently, in their backyard practicing the shootout shot over and over, who would be better than, Chara from the Bruins at a shootout, but aren't 6'7" and can't kill a guy, you know what I mean? And so the skill set that is valued, as someone who has the skill set that is valued on these shows, to an untrained eye looks like just the skill set of the music industry, but it's actually not. It's a very, very, very specific skill that you cannot have that skill and AKA Bob Dylan be one of the most successful musicians of all time. And you can have that skill, AKA all the winners of American Idol that we can't remember, and make no career. And so I think it's always funny that I go on every interview, and this is no hate to you guys, every single person, the first thing they say to me is, you're on American Idol. And to me, I'm in the NHL and people will not stop talking about how I'm great at shootouts. And I'm like, yeah, I am, thank you so much, but like, I actually play hockey. And people are like, I know, shootouts. And I'm like, no, hockey is shootouts. And so that's like, I think kids see shootouts and they think, I'm going to be in the NHL, baby. And it's like, can you handle the pressure? Can you get up every day for the next 30 years and train? Are you huge? Can you fight? Can you
can you fight?
All these things that go into being a hockey player that wouldn't be reflected in someone's ability to shoot a puck.
That's why I love hockey. Like, man, he was great. He couldn't fight. He didn't make it.
The way I got into hockey was about 10 years ago. A buddy of mine, he introduced me to it, and he always said, "You ever go to a fight in a hockey game breakout?"
I hate the fighting in hockey. I hate it. I'm like the only hockey fan who feels that way, but I just like really don't like violence, and I just think it's indicative that it's not necessary to the sport because women's hockey doesn't have fighting.
Oh,
so it can't be like literally. If you couldn't remove it from the sport, then women's hockey would have fighting.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, it must not actually be necessary.
It's just like a guilty pleasure for me because like my favorite movies about hockey are Goon and Goon
Goon,
2
yeah.
because I love Ross
Fair.
the Boss Raya. You know, I love Ross the Boss.
Like honestly, I'm okay with sanctioned, consensual, agreed upon violence amongst each other. I mean,
Well, sure, that is the
tension,
best.
There's no drama. Everyone
That's the best
agrees to it.
standard of violence for sure.
Like, I don't want anyone to get hurt that doesn't want to get hurt. But if you want to get hurt, come on. You know?
Yeah, it's a great game. So anyway, that's the way I describe American Idol to 3 men who drink beer.
Well, it's really cool that
And we all understood it.
And you're the one that asked, like she said every time.
Well, no,
every time. Every time she's
like-
on an interview, you're like, oh.
I like
First
it.
words out of your mouth.
You
Well,
couldn't
it's
have asked
my
what your
publicist's
favorite
fault.
movie was?
It's not
Hey,
your
I
fault.
like-
I'm sure.
I like hearing the. Well, I didn't ask her about her. Well, I did, but like backstage more stuff because I like hearing that stuff. I like hearing it because when because
You wanted to hear like, oh yeah, Simon Cowell walks around and he slaps people and he's
wanted-
like, oh, let's fucking roll.
Simon Cowell
Sorry,
wasn't on
that's
that
Gordon
season.
Ramsay.
But no, I was.
I mean, I got to give you guys credit. You came out with 2 songs of mine and you referenced the lyrics. So
yeah.
you're coming in strong. Don't get me wrong.
My wife's kind of a fan.
Oh my gosh, great.
I'm kind of a fan.
Let's
I
get
love
her
your
to
music.
let's get all of you to actual fans. Kind of a fans is halfway. We
No,
gotta
I am
we gotta
actually
graduate
a
you
fan.
guys to real fans.
Well, like as soon as he told me we were doing this interview and he told me about you, and I've been listening to every single song of yours that I can find on YouTube since, and I love your music.
Thanks, guys. Well, I have to send you an MP3 so we can slap a bit of bourbon on the end of this episode so people can take a listen.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely.
We finally get
It was
permission to use music.
Yeah, we're not used to
We're not
that.
gonna get flagged.
We're not gonna get flagged.
I'm getting flagged for using my own music right now.
Oh, Jesus.
Instagram did an update where they are like taking it seriously and they keep being like, your video's been removed. These rights belong to Casey McQuillen. And I'm like, hello. That's me.
Hello.
That's the same thing with James Marandino. His move, like he posts
He
like
gets flagged on SLC Punk.
Yeah, his own movie.
His own movie.
Oh my
so
God.
annoying. It's so annoying. Literally, a video of bourbon just got taken down. I was like, this is so annoying.
They tried to
Anyways.
create the system to save people, and they just created a monster.
I was just trying to hear if like a talent show, game show type of show, reality show is different from a game show because we had a professional game show contestant
Of course it
previously,
is.
and I was just seeing the difference. But anyways, earlier you mentioned when kids come and talk to you, young girls and stuff to come and talk to you. You work a lot with the younger generation, right?
Yeah,
And
I do.
You have this whole, I think the anti-bullying stuff that you do is, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I run an anti-bullying concert series in schools where I use some of the songs that I wrote when I was myself in middle school and high school, because I've been writing songs my whole life, and I go back to schools and I tell kids the stories behind these songs. I've always used music as a way to sort through some of the more difficult things I go through. And so when I was 13 and 15 and 17, I wrote songs about what it felt like to be 13 and 15 and 17. And now I have the opportunity, instead of as an adult trying to remember what it felt like to be that age, I actually have songs that immortalize my feelings from that time. And so I can go back and I've structured my program I call it an anti-bullying program, but it's really it's an empathy building program. I think as adults, we sometimes forget that like kids, their brains literally aren't structured the same way as us.
We'll end in 10 minutes.
Sorry about this. We have
That's
something
okay.
popping up on screen. It says the meeting will end in 10 minutes. Upgrade now to remove the.
If something happens, we'll just redo it.
Okay,
Like if it shuts down, we'll just call her back.
I guess.
sure.
Okay.
We don't want to pay.
I don't know what's
Zoom.
going on with this. Yeah, it must be a new thing they added. Okay.
Keep going.
But, so I have these songs that I wrote when I was 13 and 15 and 17 and have the opportunity as an adult to go back into schools and use those time capsules from those periods in my life to talk to kids about what they're going through. And I pitched the program as an anti-bullying program, but I really view the program more as an empathy building program, because I think as adults we kind of forget, like when you're 13, you're just like so self-involved, it's like unbelievable, but like that's normal, right? That's brain chemistry, that's how it works. And so I don't think any kid, even like these kids that we think of as bullies, they don't think of themselves that way. Their parents don't think of them that way. They're kids going through something who are not realizing how that the person they're making fun of or picking on is like a full person. Like we treat it as adults, we go into middle school, so I'm like, we treat it like we would a workplace harassment case. And it's like, no, these are kids. And I found that just by going into schools and talking about stories, that the protagonist is myself or someone I love, and we were the ones being picked on, and building that empathy arc and talking about the feelings, and then ending it with a song that I wrote at the time that fully encompasses that vulnerability and those feelings, it like switches something in these kids' brain where they're like, oh my God, is that how Sally feels? And it's wild to say, but genuinely a lot of these kids, they really actually haven't sat with their emotions for 20 minutes and thought about how their actions might be hurting other people. And similarly, when I tell these stories about myself, I'm doing it from a perspective of being in my 20s, being on that stage, being successful and happy. And it gives a light that it's like I blamed myself at that age for the way I was being treated. And it's so obvious now as an adult, and when we reflect together with the audience, that it's obviously wasn't my fault. Like, no, it's never the fault of the person being picked on. And it also helps kids build empathy for themselves, that they can have that experience, which will happen again, that they are picked on or made fun of or embarrassed. And instead of their brain shutting down and being like, you're awful, you're a loser, you're the worst, everyone hates you, I hope that there's a little voice in their head like, well, Casey was not a loser. Casey's not the worst. And this happened to her, so maybe I'm not. And so really in that way, yes, it is an anti-bullying program, but it has I'm trying to get to people's like emotional internal worlds more than like programs that are like, what do you do if somebody's mean to you? Like, this is go to a guidance counselor. And those are super important, but I think they work really well in conjunction with my program. When I go to schools, I try to recommend that I am first. If they're having like an anti-bullying week, I try to insist I go first, because the programs I have heard over and over and over from schools that their programs after I come in are so much more effective. The kids are so much more open and willing to talk about their feelings and engage, because they've been like prepped for an hour with me, with music, with a concert, in a way that they're open to and feels safe for them, you know? So anyway, all that being said, you can tell I love doing the shows. I play mainly for middle school and high schools. And so anybody listening, if you have a niece or nephew or a child that is in that age in those schools, you can go to my website, which is listentocasey.com. Casey, like my name, Casey, listentocasey.com. And you'll see a bunch of information about my program, and you can watch some of the program. I was actually recently on the Kelly Clarkson show talking about this program. And so I would just love, I'm booking for fall 2022 right now, and I'd love to come to your school.
Oh, hell yeah.
But man, I think that is just so amazing. And like so many things you said, it was just like, wow, man, like, because every single bullying act is like, don't bully because it's bad, okay? You know, and you actually build on their empathy, and you got them thinking like why they shouldn't bully because it's bad. Like, not just, you know, they
Also, the
everyone
word
gets told
bullying has no meaning anymore.
Oh yeah, really.
It doesn't
You know,
mean
like,
any. It's if
and
you.
people- I'm
Oh, sorry. Please go ahead. I talk too much.
Well, no, yeah, like I agree with you. Like, for example, and we like downplay the word and meaning the meaning of the word bully, and we downplay the word bully. Like we freaking bully each other. We bully each other all the time, but it's consensual. It's okay.
Consensual.
You know, but like everyone's like, bullying's nothing. But you know, so I know what you mean. But it's just beautiful that you're building on their empathy, and you're making like them. You're not making. You're getting them to think about how they're treating. You're not talking about just the victims of bullying, or you're like these messages sink through to the people. Oh, I'm sorry, I had no other word to use other than bullying. Now you make me not
The
want
perpetrators. The
being
perpetrators.
mean. You know, the
Yeah.
people being mean are actually sitting down and thinking about, you know, like after listening to you and building on their empathy, they sit down and think about their actions and oh my God, I am being mean. And
I got this crazy. This I think is the story that just sums it up most perfectly to me. I went to this school. I go to schools all the time, and you know, I would say like in an auditorium of 1,000 kids, there's usually like 3 or 4 kids who are like going through it. Like they are in dire straits. And then there's like 500 kids who are just like being 12 sucks and they're like they're struggling, you know.
Yeah.
And so I will hear from those like 3 or 4 kids. I actually usually ask teachers to preemptively give like VIP passes to like 20 kids who they think could really use extra time with me after the program, because you know, the cheerleader and the football captain have no problem running after me in the hallway to grab a selfie. And like, that's awesome. I love that they have that confidence in themselves, but
Yeah.
usually the kids that could use extra time with me aren't comfortable doing that. And I got this letter. I just talked about this on a different podcast because now it's top of my mind, you know, from this girl who was in the 6th grade and had cancer. And she wrote me this like email, because I give all the kids my contact info, you know, in the way that like an 11-year-old does, like so simple, like a 40-word email. And it like broke me. And she emailed me and she's like, yeah, like, hey, Casey, like I have cancer. And before you came, nobody would sit with me at lunch because they didn't want to catch the cancer.
Oh my God.
But after you came, everybody wants to sit with me at lunch. So it's better. Thanks. And I literally got it, right? And like fell to my floor and like was bawling, crying.
Absolutely.
But if you, that is what I mean. That is what I mean. That like, don't you remember that age, how easily the phrase catch the cancer could happen if she was already kind of unpopular to begin with and didn't have that many friends, and it would become funny. And kids are so self-centered. These aren't high school students would know you can't do that. Like
Yeah.
middle schoolers are children. Like they kind of don't know like the mob mentality. Like, and my show comes in and like breaks the mob mentality, where they must have all been in the audience been like, oh my God, we've been telling Sally you can catch, because I have a story about someone who was sick and ostracized, a person very close to me, sick and ostracized as a child, and the effects that had on his mental health into adulthood. And that's what I mean by empathy building, that it can be difficult for kids to remember that the kids around them like have hearts and families and like need support, you know?
Do you ever feel like it's better to talk to students while they're at a very young age about this, and that like there kind of comes a point where like walls can be built? Because like I was picked on a lot in high school is when most of it started for me. And it seemed like when I first moved to this new town in elementary school, and I had really no problem making a couple friends through middle school and junior high. But then once I got to high school, that's when like the fights started, the beatings, the real aggressive and just like violent natured and angry things, the kind of things that make you resentful, you know, to people still this day when you see them on the street.
Yeah. You know, I would say I actually have a different tone of voice when I go to middle schools as opposed to high schools, because, you know, middle schools, I feel like I try to come at it like their older cousin, like the older cousin you would call if you got in trouble and you were afraid to call your parents. Like that's how I'm pitching myself to middle schools. But with high schools, I'm taking a bit of a different tactic. I try to speak to them as equals. And recognize that they're just young adults and I'm just not that young of an adult, like their emotional experience and their intelligence is full, complete. People don't give high schoolers enough credit. And so I feel like the program is still successful because I'm actually able to have a bit of a more nuanced emotional conversation. And when I approach high schoolers, what I try to do is talk about the experiences that they were having in middle school, that they might have been having in ninth grade. I try to talk about how can we reflect on what has happened to us and how it makes us feel about ourselves and how we're going to choose to be moving forward. And I try to take, like, that's what I'm doing, right? I'm thinking about how my life was in middle school and high school. And so because we're equals, we're all together thinking about how our lives were in middle school and high school. And so it's definitely a different program. Like middle schools are in some ways are more fun for me to play because I come out and the kids are like, woo, already, like they're so excited I'm there. And high schools I come out and they're like, yeah, I mean, like, whatever. Like, I don't even care. And then what I do is I just come out and I just sing my American Idol audition, which is like the best song I can sing. And I play for a wide array of schools. I play for really low income schools. I play for some of the most expensive private schools in the country. And when I was playing for my first really low income school, it was actually literally to this day one of the best shows I ever did in my life. It really was. Everett High School, if anyone's listening, love you guys still to this day. And my mom's from Everett. We have a lot of family ties in Everett, but Everett is like it's a like lower middle income community, and there's a ton of people that from different ethnic backgrounds and religions and socioeconomic statuses, and I'm well aware that I'm like rolling in as a white girl in a sparkly dress. Like I get that's what I carry with me coming into this space. Yeah. And the way that I approach high school is I don't assume they're going to pay attention to me. And what I do if I'm getting the vibe that it's a really sassy high school is I'll go on stage and I'll say, listen, I want to make a deal with you guys. I say, I'm going to sing one song and you got to pay attention, one song. And I say, and if I'm not the best singer you've ever heard, you don't have to pay attention for the rest of the set. But if I am the best singer you've ever heard, you have to give me the benefit of the doubt and listen to what I got to say. And the kids sit back and they're like, okay, right? And then I sing some version. And the truth is, there's a million singers in the world that are great singers. But the energy is I come in and I say, it's me saying, I know I have to earn your respect. I want to earn it. Can I please have the opportunity to earn your attention? And I have to say, it came to me it was my first high school show. And the principal was introducing me and the kids talked straight over her. They did not stop. And my mom was backstage and she was like, oh my God. But I get like very calm before shows. And I looked at her and I was like, Mom, I got it. And I walked on stage and I felt it. There was like 1,000 kids in the audience. And I felt what to do. And that's what I said. And it worked. And it was the best show I've ever played, ever. It was the best humanitarian show I've ever done. The kids would be dead silent when I was talking and singing, and after each song they would get up and give me a standing ovation, and then they would sit back down and be super quiet. I literally got mobbed after the show I was the best. They also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Like it was the best, but it was because I didn't show up. One, I treated them as equal. I showed up like if kids talk, I'll like tell them to shut up from stage. I'll be like, hey, shut up. and I try to act not like a teacher. Really hard, I try to not act like a teacher.
Absolutely.
And that's why we pitch it as a concert. It's only about 30% of it is singing. But we pitch it as a concert because kids are willing to listen to singers and athletes in a way that they're not willing to listen to other people. And so we lean in with my American Idol stuff and my big social media following. We like lean, I start with that so that I can get the kids' attention, and then we end up going on this like thing together. So I really love it. I've really missed doing it in person. I can't wait for the fall to be back in person. It's going to be the best.
Oh yeah. Where do you think bullying comes from? Like why do bullies exist?
I have a really this is part of my program actually. I'll give you my little snippet. So one of the stories I tell is about my little brother who was very sick as a child and really, 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 really like bullied doesn't cover it, like it was really bad. I was bullied like a normal way, like kids just like threw spitballs at me when I gave student council presentations, like very standard stuff. But my brother's wasn't like a Disney movie, right? It was darker than that. And I tell this whole story of my brother and his experience and how painful it was. And how he's still, he's still in therapy as like a full-grown adult trying to deal with some of this stuff, right? And I sing this song. I usually cry during this part of the set. Like, it's really heavy. This is my family's like pain, right? This period of our life was the hardest thing any of us have ever gone through. And I tell this whole story, and the audience is 100% on my brother's side at this point. They are fucking pissed on his behalf. And I sing the song, and I usually cry. And I get to the end of the song, and I say, and I ran into those kids whose faces and names I will never forget. Everyone in my hometown knows who I am because of my music career, right? So they recognized me. And I'm at some like local bar, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so-and-so, right? And my blood starts to boil. And they go, you're Patrick McQuillen's sister, right? How's he doing? Man, he was such a good kid. They don't remember. Because they didn't wake up every day going, know what I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna pick on the sick kid. That's what I'm gonna do. But that's how movies portray bullies, right? Yeah. And that's how I was seeing them, to be quite honest. I was like, these sociopaths, right? That's not what was going on. These kids were normal 12-year-olds who probably were not receiving enough support at home, didn't have good behavior like shown to them in their home, right? And they went to school, and all 13-year-olds hate themselves. All 13-year-olds feel insecure. And all 13-year-olds do is quip at each other in the hallways and pick on each other. And so they were in the hallway, like every other 13-year-old. And somebody said something about you. And somebody said something to them that made them insecure, right? So they looked around the hallway for the easiest target to deflect that insecurity. And my brother was sick, so he was an easy target. And so they would pick on him. They would find him in 1 second. They would think of something cruel to say in 1 second. They would say it in 1 second. Everyone would laugh. They would feel reinstated to their social standing, and they would move on. Because you have to remember, kids aren't adults. They're children. They don't freaking realize what they're doing. And then also, on the other end, children are more sensitive. When they get picked on, it ruins their life. They don't have a strong sense of identity, right? Like, they are forming their identities. And so you have this horrible combination of people who don't understand empathy on a deep level and people who are incredibly sensitive to criticism. And so when you say what makes a bully, I genuinely don't think bullies exist. I think, of course, on the extremes, there are some kids who need extreme mental help. I'm not talking about those students. I'm not talking about kids who need psychiatric intervention, right? That is a different thing. I'm not a therapist. I do not know what to do for a dangerous kid.
A dangerous kid, yeah.
What I'm talking about, and by the way, those kids aren't bullied. Those kids are so mentally broken that they are trying to reinstate control through a incredibly unproductive way. Because there's no such thing as a bad 10-year-old. That doesn't exist. What's a bad child? What's a bad 10-year-old? 10-year-old can't be bad, I think. I think you have a broken child who is not getting the support that they need. Yeah. But what I'm talking about is the 99% of us, because I guarantee it. I think I'm a really empathetic person. I think that's why I'm a songwriter. I think that's why I work with kids. But I guarantee you there's at least one person in the world who every time they see me post a frickin' podcast talking about bullying, they're like, Casey McQuillen said the meanest thing to me one time, and now she's on TV. I guarantee it. And to that person, I apologize. I'm sure I did. Because we were all little shits. All of us were little shits.
But for real, you're right. No.
Even the best of us were little shits. And we all can remember the horrible things that we said that one time at the school dance in the tent. And you're like, why did I say that? Right? We all can remember it. And so these kids weren't bullies that were formed. These kids were normal kids who were not being given positive role models on how to behave. And it ended up having a way worse effect than they ever intended, could have thought of, would have ever. They literally think of my brother fondly and ask how he is to his older sister. They do not remember. And that is the pinnacle of my empathy story with the kids. I take like 40 minutes to build up to that. Because what I'm saying to the kids is, I know you're not a bully. I know your mother tells you you are the nicest, sweetest boy in the whole world. I know you got the team leadership award from your soccer camp. It doesn't fucking matter. You are just as capable of hurting other people unintentionally as anyone else. And that you need to think about your actions, because somebody could be in therapy 15 years later because of something you say today. And that is the part that blows these kids' minds, is that these people weren't bullies. There's no such thing as a bully. And that's the problem, is you try to, if my parents had approached these kids' parents and been like, your son is bullying my child. Well, all of a sudden, those parents are like, how dare you say my son is a bully? He won the Spirit Award from his soccer camp. Bully is like this evil thing. Good children say things that they don't understand the consequences to all the time. And so that's what I mean about when we start bullying weeks, anti-bullying weeks at schools, and they start with my program. It's like an hour of the kids learning that they're the problem. Yeah. Kids tune out. They're like, I'm not the problem. I'm not mean. They're not mean, but you're still the fucking problem. We're all the problem. And so that's why the programs are so much more effective after I come in, is that the kids are willing to listen like they're involved in it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's literally mind-blowing shit. Like, because without like such upbringing, without like lessons that you're distilling, or if no one distilled these lessons in these people, you grow up still kind of doing, like, to this day, like, I was bullied in high school. I try to be empathetic as possibly can, and I have said some shit to people that have just crushed them, and like found out later, and I'm like, no, not me. I don't bully. I was bullied, and they're like, no, yeah, bro, you bullied. And I'm like, oh, no.
Right, but adulthood bullying is just saying things like, it's like putting your foot in your mouth, right? Like, literally a week ago, I was out to dinner with my sister and my best friend, and she said something, and I said, in this casual environment, I responded to what she said, like one of her friends. I was like, yeah, I mean, he's super weird, so. And like, he was weird. He had made me feel really uncomfortable the last time we all hung out, but I did not say it tactfully. I said it way too honestly. It was not cool. And I like put on my big girl pants and fucking sent her an apology text message 2 hours later because I was still thinking about it. And I didn't say, I'm sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable. I said, I'm sorry I said something inappropriate. I'm sorry I spoke out of turn. Because I'm not sorry I'm sorry about my actions. And guess what? Then our relationship, the trust is restored. Then, right, that's people, she felt respected, heard, valued. So we all say dumb shit, but that's the goal, right? It's like, the goal is to own up. And it's this whole thing of like, imagine you're a 12-year-old boy and you come from a house where your dad is like, these freaking snowflakes, like back in my day I just punched somebody in the face. And like, what are you supposed to do?
I know that's everyone's upbringing in like this region right here. And like, if you don't think like that, then you're a weak snowflake and stuff like. My dad taught me to beat up everybody and just shit like that all day.
Yeah, and it's like snowflake. Like, okay, like I'm sensitive to my feelings and other people's feelings. Like, thank you, thanks. I'm really glad the empathy work I've been doing on myself has worked. So I just really think that there's a huge empathy deficit in our lives. Social media is making it worse. And as somebody who's in the entertainment industry who has a big social media following, I have the ability. Like, I don't know if you guys said you were on my YouTube. I don't know if you saw my song "Beautiful."
Yeah.
But I wrote that song at 17 years old, and that is one of the songs I sing in schools. And the stories that I tell is like, I was really picked on. I was like the class valedictorian, head of student council, leading the school play. I was Miss Overachiever. And so the thing kids picked on me for was my appearance. And to this day, that is still the place where you can hurt me. Like, I posted, I had like a reel go a little viral on Instagram the other day, which is great. Good for me. Yay. But these like troll boys commenting like, this song fucking sucks. Like, this is the most generic bullshit. And it was so funny because it didn't bother me at all, because I was like, LOL, have fun with your garage band project. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I actually started my sister, I was like, well, it's a good sign that all they can say is that it sounds like all the other pop music. That's great. Maybe I'll get like they're not like, this is bad. I was like, this is so generic, right? But the second somebody comments on my thing and it's like, oh, like, did you gain weight? I clam up, I get hot, I want to delete the comment, I'm humiliated, because that's my trigger place, right? I don't feel insecure about my intelligence, my talent, my capability. I feel insecure about my appearance, because at 13, like, that was what I was hit on over and over and over again. And so, you know, I have the song Beautiful that there's a music video for online, and I sing in schools. My title track of my most recent album is a song called Skinny, which I wrote about my like adulthood relationship with weight and appearance and dating and all these complicated things. But it's telling that, you know, it's 15 years later and the stuff I'm writing about and putting out on my album is still stuff about my insecurities around my appearance. And I say that as someone who, I conform to a lot of society's beauty standards. And it doesn't matter how many men on the internet tell me I'm beautiful. Like, I have voices in my head that have been there since I was a child, and it's hard for me to get past. And songwriting has, just at 17, at this age now, it's always been a way that I try to deal with those feelings and thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely understand. But I really loved like one of the last lines of the song on Skinny. We're like, yeah, but she doesn't eat pizza at 2 a.m. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. That's the difference between, you know, in the song Beautiful, the bridge is the mother.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Grows up and looks at her child and says, wait, I don't want her to feel like she needs to comply to beauty standards. She is beautiful. But that same mother is dieting, Weight Watchers, 100-calorie packs, right? So of course that daughter is going to learn that same fucking cycle of self-hate, right? And the difference is in the song Skinny, after 15 years of therapy, is in the bridge, it's me saying, but if I were to be as thin as society wants me to be, I wouldn't be me, because I wouldn't be drinking. I wouldn't be eating pizza with my friends. I wouldn't be going to Italy to like go eat pasta. Like I like my life. I don't want to change my life to get to the body I want. I want to live my life and accept the body that comes out when I live my life. But that's a very hard thing to do for a lot of people, and it's a really hard thing for me to do, I know specifically. So, you know, that's what's really difficult about being an artist, and a lot of times is like, I'm sitting here on this podcast with you guys, this isn't something I fully worked through. Like, it's still something that's really sensitive for me. And when inevitably there's 17 comments on this, you know, on this podcast being like, well, just stop eating, you fat bitch, like, that is hard to see. But that's the kind of comments you get, like when you're a woman in, you know, when I sang Beautiful, the comments I would get would people come up to me like, oh my God, you're gorgeous, right? But when I sing Skinny, people come up to me and go, you're really brave. Absolutely. Because I am society's standards of beautiful, but I am not society's standards of thin. And so it's a very different experience singing the song Skinny than singing the song Beautiful, because when I sang Beautiful, it was constantly people affirming me, oh my God, you shouldn't worry about that. You shouldn't feel that way. But when I sing Skinny, people go, wow, I've never heard that. You're so brave to get up on stage and sing that. And it's a different experience. It's challenging.
Yeah.
Sorry if this is a no swearing podcast, by the way. I should have.
Oh fuck no, it's not.
I didn't get that vibe from the sword in the background, but like I don't know, you know.
Yeah, we fucking love Zelda.
Drinking beer.
Drinking
No
beer.
curse words,
You
though.
watch your goddamn.
Yeah, you should put a trigger warning on this episode for the quote that I just quoted the trolls. That might trigger someone. I apologize.
Oh
If it
no.
triggers them.
Oh, we don't care what they think. We're the beer guys.
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of I wonder how many like body conscious women listen to your beer podcast. I'm not sure how many, but we'll see.
Strangely, probably a lot.
I adore what you're doing because I am body conscious. All right, like when I growing up, like I never had a nice girl working up here, right? But like I was also raised by like the father kind of that you were talking about, like you don't take shit from no one. Fuck them snowflakes. Yeah, and so like as they bullied me, like what it was growing up, I had too many teeth in my mouth. Like I don't like, or like they're too big. I had big old buck teeth, and the dentist was like, literally, we got to remove some of these. We got to work on this. This kid's gonna have horrible teeth in the future. And my stepdad was like, I want a paper. So
Ouchie.
none of that never happened. All right, so I got they're all pushed together, and it looks just like a mess in my mouth, and people made fun of me for it and stuff like that. But we fought. Like I wasn't like, oh man, like I mean, yeah, it hurt my feelings, and that was just the armor I put on. It's like I could, like, even though I wasn't the kid going home and just like moping about it and being sad about it, doesn't mean I wasn't fucking sad about it.
Of course.
And it fucking hurt my feelings.
And it's
That's
wild.
why I hit the guy because it hurt my feelings,
Right.
And so like growing up with that mentality, like someone makes fun of you, you just fucking hit them, son. That's what I learned.
And that's like, it's so problematic because like, yeah, hitting somebody probably made you like, again, right, we were talking about if you regain control and male social standing in that moment.
One story I would love to tell you is I actually ended up feeling bad for my bully. Like one of the situations like I'm telling you about, and a fight broke out, and I really did some damage to this kid. And then like growing up, I was like, oh my god, he didn't deserve that. Like he was being exactly like you're talking about. Had I not hit him, he would have said his mean comment, and the kids would have laughed, and he would have felt validated, and he would have went back on with his life, and he would have never thought much about it. All right, like he was not a bad. It's like it didn't take me until adulthood. In high school, I started thinking about how like this guy wasn't a bad guy, but I did some bad things to him, and it's like it's literally been like it's haunted me. Like not like it came to a point to where like bullying didn't haunt me, but then like, man, what I did to him was like bullying.
Well, it made you behave. It made you behave in a way that isn't consistent with your moral values.
Exactly. So now I feel like shit for it, and I like later in life told him like, dude, I'm so sorry.
Good. I'm glad to hear
like
that.
his senior year, I failed a lot. I
would love to go to high schools and tell people that hey. Don't bully, don't pick on, don't ostracize that random person because they'll probably end up like me. I have a hard time fitting in even with these two guys.
He's so cynical.
I am. I'm jaded on just about everything that you can be jaded on. I'm jaded on the fact, it surprises me talking to you even, because I'm just like, wow, there are good people in the world. Go figure. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, I think like I literally had therapy this morning before I came on with you guys. And I think I'm like so on top of my shit. Like I've been in therapy for 15 years and I'm like very privileged that I have the opportunity to do that, but it's something I get a ton out of. And I'm the friend everyone comes to for advice. Like I see through bullshit. I don't let guys like mess around. Like I'm like, right, I got my head on straight. And I literally had a conversation with my therapist today where he like basically pointed out that I have like really weird relationship with money. Like this is like, you know what I mean? From my childhood. And he's like, that's like not a normal response. Like you've had like a non-normal response. And he really pushed me. And I'm sitting here being like, that is really interesting. Like, I thought I was handling it like really well, but like maybe I overcorrected, right? And I'm gonna think about it for the next week, like, right? And I was thinking like, wow, I'm really glad. I had this thought that I was like, I'm really glad that this has been brought up now and I can work on it for the next year instead of it coming out in my marriage. When I get married and I get weirdly mad at my husband for something, right? Like, and so what I would say is like, you're cynical. My dad always says he's a really smart guy. He says his name's Mark. We call him Markisms. Me and my manager, like just like profound things that my dad says all the time. And something he's always said since we were little kids is, be careful the story you choose because you will become the main character in it. And what he's saying is, if your story is that you were picked on, so you're cynical. You're a cynical bastard, that's what you are, right? Oh, no one gets me. It's self-reinforcing because you're the main character in this cynical story, so what would the cynical main character do? And similarly, like my identity is like, I've got it all figured out. And so it's self-reinforcing. When I get feedback that doesn't align with me having it figured out, I'm like, no, like I always have everything figured out. And so that's honestly why I think I've gotten so much out of therapy is like, don't let the bastards win. Like, don't, like, you know what I mean? Like those people were awful to you. And now like, now you are surprised that the anti-bullying advocate is actually like a good person.
I feel like looking at him and be like, and how does that make you feel?
I mean, really, not much of anything in that regard, Keith.
Not much of anything, aka the point.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but at the very beginning of this interview, you said that you had the option of being on The Boys.
The
Voice.
What were you saying?
Not the Amazon series.
Oh.
What's the Amazon series?
The Boys.
Oh my God, no, but I have heard of that. I've heard it's very good.
Okay, see, that's why I had to ask, was because my thought process was is if you did get an offer, like who did you get offered to play?
I am the worst actress in the whole world. Do you want to know why I'm not on Broadway? I cannot act for shit. I'm unwatchable. Unwatchable. No. Yeah, no, it's not a skill of mine, for sure.
Honestly, if she was on The Boys,
well,
that would really mess up everything else.
The reason why I bring that up is because one, I heard wrong, and two,
I heard The Boys too. I just knew what she meant.
Well, and two, if I had heard wrong, if I hadn't heard wrong, and she did say yes, she got offered to be on The Boys, my whole thing is like, well, you see how cynical I am. It's like it's been my favorite comic book since it came out. I truly believe that if people had superpowers, they'd be that bad.
No, I know, and it's like what's it? The West Wing versus like that big show where he pushed it. Well, I don't want to give away spoilers, but you know what I'm talking about. But guys, I gotta run because LOL, I have another interview right now. I'm 3 minutes late.
Final two questions before we get you to go.
Yes.
We ask these questions to every single person that comes on the podcast. It's quick questions. Nickelback or Creed?
Okay, Nickelback. Weird.
Fuck yes.
I love
Nickelback.
Oh, man,
look at this photograph. Hey, she's got taste.
Look at this graph.
I love that meme, man. I love that meme. Okay, what's the second question?
The second question is, has the Illuminati contacted you? If they do, will you join them?
First rule about Fight Club, never talk about Fight Club.
Oh, good answer.
The best answer. It's a very cynical one.
Yeah, now I think she's part of the Illuminati, bro.
Thank you so much for coming on. Her new album, Skinny, is available everywhere. Spotify, Apple Podcast.
Such a good album. Pick it up. Listen to it.
Thank you guys, and I'll send you an MP3
My favorite song is Taste from the album.
That would work pretty well. Maybe that can be your intro song to the podcast, you know? Because if you're taste it, you got a taste in your opinions, you got taste in beer.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Miss Casey.
Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you
calling. It's
guys.
been so
Have a
much
great rest of
fun.
your day, okay?
All right.
You too.
We did at least an hour with Casey McQuillen.
McQuillen.
Oh, she was amazing.
Amazing
man.
interview. I'm gonna rate this beer.
A fucking 1.
You hated that bad?
No, it's a 5.
It's still a 6.
Still, I'd give it a 6.
I still like Casey was such a great it was such a great
And, you know,
interview.
because of Casey, Decker's Brewing Company, you get a 6.5 out of me.
6.5.
It put me in a good
Well,
mood.
I was gonna say Casey had a great point when we're like we tried the beer at the beginning of the show. She's like, you know what, drink on it, you know, and so see how you feel at the end of the episode, and if your rating changed. But Casey was such a great interview, and I was so enthralled by everything that she had to say. I wasn't thinking about the beer. I wasn't thinking about like how it felt in my mouth, no pun intended, and whether or not the rating should change. I was so captivated by everything that she was talking about that at the end of the interview, it's still a 5 because I forgot to fucking think about it.
And I'm gonna give it a 6. Maybe a 5. Maybe a 6. Do we buy more from Drekker?
Yes, but not that fucking beer particularly.
But okay, so it wasn't horrible to the point where we won't try more of their beers.
Yeah, but it was horrible to the point like. It wasn't
I mean, they're all 25 bucks.
It wasn't. Oh yeah, dude, it's not worth 25. Oh wait, all their beers are 25 bucks.
Yeah.
No, fuck that brewing company. Yeah. Maybe try it one more time. You got like, dude,
Last chance. This is a
the
5.
first Drekker? Is this the first?
Yeah, it's the
Drekker
first
beer?
Drekker we've had on.
All right, you try one more Drekker beer. And if it's shit too, like, bro, there won't be a third. You know? $25 fucking dollars, there won't be a third. You know?
I before we end, I have something to say.
Yes.
I'm like Keenan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a horrible, monstrous person.
Wait, you said you're like me?
Yeah, I'm like you now.
Oh my god, you're bullying me.
I'm like you now.
I'm so mad. I'm not a horrible, monstrous person. Why would you say this to me?
I stole.
Oh no! Yeah, okay. I've done that. Oh man! Like, my mind was going. Oh yeah, we were gonna talk about this.
I don't know if you.
I've never.
When I picked you up today, did you notice I had different glasses on?
I did.
You know what happened? I lost my glasses at a water park.
Yeah, I heard about your adventures at the water park.
Just look at that right there, ladies and gentlemen. You can see that there's no.
Well, these are broken. These are broken shades. But I have. But
It means it's actual glasses.
in my day-to-day life, I wear actual glasses. I lost them at a water park, and I said, you know what? I just have to enjoy my day at the water park and figure out what's going to happen at the end. But at the end of the day started coming. I'm like, how am I going to get home? I cannot see stuff. I'm 2 hours away. How am I going to get home?
You know, like, man, that is a good question. But, like, you know, when you lose your glasses at the water park, it's like I could freak out. Like, I'm at the water park either way. I can freak out about this or handle it later. Like, when you worry, you suffer twice. So just enjoy your day.
The lifeguard tried to find them. He couldn't find them.
Oh, he didn't try that hard. He's like,
No,
18,
he
this is
searched
the
like
second
he searched like
job.
the whole thing, but it was hard to do when people were sliding down
Yeah,
the slide.
Well, good for him, because, like, in reality, I'm a lifeguard at a water park, not a fucking pool, but a water park, and you come to me like, I lost your glasses. Like, my first response would be like, they're gone, buddy.
And so, guess where I go at the end of the day?
Imart?
I go to Lost and Found.
Oh, yeah?
They,
You took I see. It's all coming together.
Lost and Found has two totes.
Of course you can't see. They weren't prescribed to you.
Lost and Found has two totes.
No.
They had a tote for like a couple of bags, and then they had a tote.
Glasses.
And
They had
shades.
glasses. Did you try a fuckload on it until like, finally one was kind of suitable?
I seen one, put it towards my face, suit enough to drive, I took them. Is that stealing?
Yeah.
No, fuck no. You can taking shit from the lost and found is never stealing.
Is it finding?
It's less.
It is
less than honest, but it's between less.
I
than
was like,
honest.
I gotta get home. I gotta drive.
The guy was trying to tell you that he's just as fucking low as you are for stealing a pair of fucking glasses, and you're gonna give him the high road?
Yeah, because
You're gonna give him? You're just gonna hand it to him?
Hey, I'm not that fucking.
I'd have
low,
fucking
goddamn
ripped
it.
his ass for a month. I'd have been like, you're a fucking thief, Adam. You stole some fucking guy's
You piece of
vision.
shit. No.
You stole some random asshole's
They're
vision.
probably a woman's glasses, I think.
Search you well, you fucking thief.
On the level of honesty, there's notches, and what you did is like
3 notches down.
it's like a it's
From a 0, it's like a -3.
It's like punk. Is it punk? It's
finish.
pop punk. The punk.
No, yeah, we were talking about this earlier.
It's pop punk.
It's like, well, I didn't actually steal. I didn't street punk steal, but what I did, I pop punk stole. You know? And it's like, well, like what you did was dishonest, but it wasn't thievery.
He
you
walked
know?
in there, he said, "Ba with the ba, to
Oh,
bang
with
to
the
bang."
ball, to bang the knives.
My name is Adam.
No, well, like you just mentioned new metal. You should have said something like pop punk lyrics, like "Welcome to my life." You know, you ever had no vision? You ever lose your glasses at the water park? Well, welcome to my life. You know.
Anyways, final thoughts on me taking glasses from the Lost and
No,
Found.
my final thoughts is I'm not that much of a monster, and I'm not that low. Where's this coming from?
Well,
I don't know. I was just helping Adam.
That's just your opinion.
No, it's
That's all we have here. And that's all we have here are opinions and beer.
We are a million